With Facebook and Twitter constantly making headlines, LinkedIn is often referred to as the forgotten social network. Although the professional social networking site does not always get as much attention as the other players, its value is not something that should be taken lightly. In fact, LinkedIn is the second largest social network with more than 120 million users, and it underwent a very successful IPO earlier this year. And what's more, the company is continually working to enhance its service to meet user needs. And Nicole Williams, LinkedIn's Connections Director, is joining us now by way of Skype to talk about the network and to tell us what it is doing to help professionals in their quest to find success. Thank you so much for being here, Nicole.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
Great. It's great to have you as well. Well, LinkedIn recently added a volunteer experience and causes feature to its network as part of its continued effort to help professionals. So can you first of all tell us what motivated LinkedIn to incorporate such a feature?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what it was, and this is really interesting. This was actually based on consumer demand. So people using LinkedIn were actually asking LinkedIn to incorporate this volunteer section because hiring managers, which we learned through a new study, find this information relevant relative to potentially hiring a candidate. And then people, who are really actively volunteering and building their skill sets and relationships through their volunteer work experience also wanted to have it added. So it was really based in demand.
So users can basically just include causes just as they would with their work experience?
Exactly, absolutely. So there's a section on there. It's really easy to follow, and really where this is an amazing opportunity in that for a lot of people who are volunteering or people who are working in jobs that aren't necessarily truly reflective of their true ability, they have a passion for event marketing, for example, but in the meantime, they're working at Starbucks. Mm-hmm. Here's your opportunity to volunteer your time, build some experience, and be able to document that experience in your LinkedIn profile so that you're getting credit for the work that you're doing. And again, what we found is that hiring managers are actually considering volunteer work as real work. So you're getting credit for all the work experience that you're gaining through your volunteerism, which is a fantastic thing because you're, on one hand, getting to contribute to a cause you believe in, and then on the other, again, getting credit for this volunteer work experience, which is amazing.
Absolutely. Well, how does LinkedIn hope that professionals will be impacted by this addition?
Yeah, well, I think, again, just based in the study, we learned that, over 89% of people actually have volunteer work experience, but only 45 are actually documenting it. Mm-hmm. And what we know is that people who are in a position to hire are actually looking for this experience. And this is a point of differentiation. So it's like if a hiring manager has equally qualified candidates, it could be that your involvement in the BCRF, the Breast Cancer Research Fund, is what is going to put you over the top. And it's something that is relational too. It's like, oh, you're connected to the ASPCA. I'm a dog lover. So it's a way of, and that's the way that the world of work is working right now, especially in this kind of competitive marketplace. You have to set yourself apart. And what LinkedIn is hoping to do is allow people to set themselves apart by being able to offer up this volunteer work experience.
Very good. Well, now switching gears just slightly, we're going to talk more about the overall power of LinkedIn. And can you talk specifically about the power of networking on the site and the level of credibility that it provides?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I think, there's a lot of social networks out there. And one of the ways in which LinkedIn differentiates itself is that this is a professional forum. So that the people who you're engaging with and networking with on LinkedIn are, in fact, professionals. You can see their credentials. That this is a place of qualified referrals. This is a place where you can build relationships, knowing specifically what this person has by way of experience and relationships. It's a very qualified way of networking. And for people who, are working 24/7, at their desk, they can't get out to actual networking events. This is a great forum for people to be able to meet and introduce themselves to people who they can potentially get to know. And this is the amazing thing, like what we know in terms of really taking advantage of the networking power of LinkedIn LinkedIn is if you've got 50 connections. So for example, if you and I get off this Skype call, we connect with one another. We then get to take advantage of each other's second and third tier contacts. And that's really when you really get to make a difference. So all the people you know, all the people I know are now ours in common. And because we've had this opportunity to connect in person, we now get to take advantage of all these other second and third level relationships, which, again, it is somewhat of a numbers game in that we know 50 is really the trigger point. But honestly, it is also about quality in that when you're making connections with people on LinkedIn, you want to qualify how you know them, where this referral comes from, and you can do that by virtue of LinkedIn's, for example, LinkedIn Today. You can track what's happening in industry news. So I can see what's happening potentially with your company, make reference to that. And again, we then have this relational context with which to connect with one another.
Well, with the concept of socializing work becoming more common, what is LinkedIn doing then to continue to distinguish itself in service from the other social networks?
Yeah, I think, every day, I think that they're building new, I know that they are, they're building new, it's like the think and the know. What they're doing is building products that are going to better our professional lives. And one of the things that I love about LinkedIn is that it's not just about when you're looking for jobs. As we know, this is true of in-person career development, and this is true in, social digital networking circles. You don't want to be out there looking for a job when you actually need one. You want to be building these relationships beforehand. And, by virtue of LinkedIn Today, where you get to track industry relevant information, the groups, there's wonderful forums that you can participate in, either, just looking to see what kinds of conversations are being had, or even participating in conversations so that you can be known as someone who has a qualified opinion, as someone who's engaged within your industry. These are all very relevant career building tools that you can use, again, via your computer. There's no excuse why you wouldn't be using them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it is a very different experience. While Facebook and Twitter and even Google+, they do offer great networking experiences, it's a very different, much more niche focus with LinkedIn.
Yeah, and again, because I think we're so professionally oriented, it's like on Facebook, yes, like this is the totality of your whole life. I've got pictures of my new son on there. I've got pictures of a vacation and, conversations that are more personally oriented. Where LinkedIn, provides this professional forum. I'm not necessarily going to post photographs of my kid, eating his first solids. That's not relevant to professional contacts. So it's information that's distilled. I know for all of us, whether it be Twitter or Facebook, whatever it is, we're just getting inundated with information about people we know. And that's fantastic on a personal front. But when it comes to our professional lives, we're really busy and we need to have, we need distilled information. And I think that that's what the platform of LinkedIn provides for us, is this place that's, expressly professionally oriented so we can take advantage of it for professional purposes.
Right, and it should be different. What are some general ways in which people should be using LinkedIn?
Yeah, well, you know what? For all of us, I think we need to be tracking LinkedIn Today. So, this is a service whereby you are going to be updated with relevant industry news. So it's incoming. It's coming into your inbox. So, for example, I'm always interested in what's happening in the world of media. And, by virtue of this product, I get this into my inbox. I know what's going on so that I can go into meetings feeling as if I'm prepared. Even if it's not directly relevant to my business, at least I can convey that I'm an educated individual in this realm of media. So regardless of what your industry you're in, you can track the goings on of your industry through LinkedIn Today. You can also, like I said, involve yourself in groups. So I'm a working mom, for example, and so I'm involved in a lot of new mom working groups and building relationships that way. And again, I think that, while we do need to be niche in terms of knowing what is happening in our industry, what can end up happening if you're a wine lover or if you're a part of a volunteer community, a charitable organization, as one of your groups on LinkedIn, you can get exposed to people who are beyond your normal realm of influence and get to know other people who in fact may be able to offer you something professionally, or you may be able to offer them something professionally. It's that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, what about businesses specifically? Do you have any tips for them?
Yeah. Absolutely. So, there's a couple of different tips and tricks you can use. We do this as a small business. It's the vanity URL. So when you're building a profile, you can actually build a URL that's specific to your business, which makes you look more professional, but is also another way of actually finding you as a business. And again, I find groups really important in terms of building networks and opportunity for business specifically. And I'll share an example. Again, being a new mom, I was talking about being a professional woman and lack of sleep, and I was contacted by someone who's a sleep training specialist at small business. And by virtue of the fact that she offered me some great information, I ended up hiring her. So it's a great way of, if you can just engage in conversation and offer up tidbits of advice that prove that you're a legitimate, helpful individual, that may turn into a real business opportunity, which is what ultimately small businesses are looking to gather by virtue of their involvement. Yeah.
Okay, well, in terms of the unemployment crisis that's plaguing the nation, I understand that LinkedIn can be instrumental in this area as well. So what does the service specifically offer for unemployed individuals?
Yeah, well, there's job postings, so you definitely want to take a look at that. That's, an obvious. But I think one of the more unobvious things that you want to do is you can track companies. So, for example, say you're looking to work at Google. You can track, what individuals are leaving the company, where they're going, so you can see potential openings. You can track press releases out of that company. If you follow a company, if you're connected to a company following that company, you can get all relevant industry news so that you're on the forefront of seeing a trend. So say they're, for example, outsourcing marketing, or you can see that that would be relevant to you if you were a small business owner. But if you can see that, there's people leaving a department, you can suspect that there are going to be openings in that potential department. So you can be reaching out to them, looking for opportunity before the job's even posted, which is very strategic in this marketplace, because by the time a job is posted, hundreds, if not thousands of people are already applying to the job. So definitely to get involved that way, and to, fill out this volunteer causes part of your portfolio, your profile, so that, you're getting credit for the work that you're doing in that regard as well.
Very good advice. Well, it's clear that LinkedIn provides a valuable service for masses. So why is it that LinkedIn is often labeled as the forgotten social network?
Yeah, it's funny. I've not heard that term, to be honest with you, but I think that where it may end up getting deemed as forgotten is that people don't realize how helpful it is in your day-to-day career development. That LinkedIn is designed to help you in your career in totality. It's not just to be used at the point in which you're looking for a job. And I think that that's perhaps one of the reasons why people don't think to log on every day. And they should be, because LinkedIn is this professional network that you can use day to day in developing and building your career. It really is your career toolbox in terms of industry news, forums for conversation and discussion relative to what's of interest and relevant in your industry. It's an opportunity for you to be profiled so people can find you if they're looking for your particular skill sets. And that's one of the things, honestly, that people don't realize, is that you shouldn't just have, the job profile, the experiences, and the description of what you're doing in your current position. Otherwise, it looks like you've just been, in this career field for 2 years, if that's how long you've been at this particular job. You want to have, the totality of your work experience, for years logged on there, so that you're getting credit for the number of years experience that you have and all of the skills that you've attained over the course of your career history. So, really in terms of it being forgotten, I think it's just more underutilized than it is forgotten. And I think if we're logging on every day, it would be very memorable in that it really is going to impact your career.
Okay, great insights, Nicole. Thank you so much for sharing them with us. It was a real pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. With this WebPro News Report, I'm Abby Johnson.